He always denied that the Virginia Giuffre photograph that has been much published, that it was photoshopped. So I'm just not sure what he was thinking, if he felt why he would allow himself to be photographed. So there is, and so it just feels again that sometimes his judgment seems to have gone awry. But what it also shows is that Epstein does seem to have an ability to throw out loans, as we mentioned in the news, that Peter Mandelson's husband was got a £10,000 loan. We know that they helped Sarah Ferguson and various things. That he seemed to be very clever about the way he was able to manipulate people into friendship and helping them. He was a very shrewd operator, and obviously lots of people seem to fall for it and got themselves now into very difficult situations of their own doing, it has to be said. And the same we would suggest about Andrew. It wasn't as if he didn't seem to encourage this friendship, judging by the emails that have been released in the last 24 hours.
Let's start with the new disclosures from the Epstein files about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Let's speak to royal correspondent Rupert Bell. Morning, Rupert.
Morning, Chloe.
So take us through what we've learnt in these latest tranche of files which have been released about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
Well, some of it sounds pretty alarming, but I suppose the most significant thing is the fact that around 2010, when Epstein was released, after that, obviously it appears that Andrew and Epstein's friendship sort of re-emerged and seemed to be as strong as ever, if you read some of the emails. And obviously there's some pictures that have come out as well, with seeming him leaning over a girl, and it just sounds, the whole thing just sort of, I think, confirms, I suppose, what has been going on. And once again, though, it does seem to suggest, and looking at the files, that he is the one that everyone is going for. And there's lots of other people who seem to be implicated and allegations against. But I think in Andrew's case, it just sort of adds to all the suspicions about him. Although, as he says, he absolutely denies any wrongdoing. But reading some of it, you think, well, if it's true, then it feels that, what was he thinking? And that questions his judgment, which he said in that Newsnight interview, if you remember, I wish I should have been a bit more careful about how I chose my friends. Well, with all these emails seemingly coming out suggesting that he was very happy to continue his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
I mean, the photos you talk about, they're in the Times today, and yeah, there's a woman lying flat on her back. Obviously, her face is blacked out because there are many redactions throughout all of these files to protect survivors. And Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is kneeling to the side of her with one arm either side and kind of looking up at the camera. It begs the question why he would feel that he wanted to have this photograph taken in the first place.
Yes, but remember, he always denied that the Virginia Giuffre photograph that has been much published, that it was photoshopped. So I'm just not sure what he was thinking, if he felt why he would allow himself to be photographed. So there is, and so it just feels again that sometimes his judgment seems to have gone awry. But what it also shows is that Epstein does seem to have an ability to throw out loans, as we mentioned in the news, that Peter Mandelson's husband was got a £10,000 loan. We know that they helped Sarah Ferguson and various things. That he seemed to be very clever about the way he was able to manipulate people into friendship and helping them. He was a very shrewd operator, and obviously lots of people seem to fall for it and got themselves now into very difficult situations of their own doing, it has to be said. And the same we would suggest about Andrew. It wasn't as if he didn't seem to encourage this friendship, judging by the emails that have been released in the last 24 hours. And
we're also learning as well that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor actually invited Jeffrey Epstein to Buckingham Palace. Well, this is what I mean. This takes it to a sort of new level. We know, and there are pictures back in the late 90s and going to Royal Ascot, and we've heard of them going to shooting parties at Sandringham. But then to do it after he'd been released and suggest, if you read the emails, that a way of celebrating Andrew's 50th birthday party in Buckingham Palace, it beggars belief what they were thinking. So the whole thing is very unseemly on the face of it, that he would even think that it was a sensible thing to be doing. So once again,
Andrew's judgment is being, very much questioned. And this has created his problem because his naivety, stupidity, arrogance, call it what you will, has led to him now being sent into exile in Norfolk.
We also understand there are emails as well we've seen of Jeffrey Epstein offering dinner with a 26-year-old Russian woman to Andrew. In light of the conversations that we've had over many, many months now, Rupert, about Andrew, the previous allegations have been very damaging. In light of that, a reputation already damaged, how damaging are these latest allegations, or is it just further evidence?
I think it's just further evidence. I'm not sure. We're not surprised. I don't think when we saw what came out yesterday, we never went, oh, that doesn't feel like that didn't happen. You know what I mean? Or allegations are. You just feel that the situation has got to, eventually the king just said enough's enough. And I think we have to say that, well, here we go again. Or not quite a shrug of the shoulders, because it's still, the thoughts of him being invited to Buckingham Palace does just sort of think, well, what was he thinking? And doesn't really change, I don't think, may make the public perception even more negative towards him. But in a way, it's an element of almost, well, here we go again. And I think it's going to be more interesting what is some of the other people who are allegations around. And obviously, Peter Mandelson's obviously had to resign as British ambassador to the United States, but there are further sort of allegations coming out with regard to his friendship and his husband's friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. We've also seen question marks even about Richard Branson, some other Bill Gates, high profile people. But it does seem to be Andrew is the easy stick to beat at any time there's an Epstein file that come out. But ultimately, I think many of us are not overly surprised with what we were reading.
Rupert, thank you for speaking to us this morning. That's Royal Correspondent Rupert Bell.
So we'll continue to reflect throughout the programme on the various different parts of this and kind of centring around, I suppose, the people that have been at the heart of this latest release. So that is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew. More to come as we assess what these files mean.